Now, 1 block east of Walmart, Hayes, America.
This is Eyewitness News Weekend with Tracy West, Corey Barron weather, and Jim Colby sports. Now, the area's #1 rated weekend news.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. We have 2 breaking stories to bring you. One is rescue workers are in South Wichita looking for a possible drowning victim at Kingston Cove Lake. We will bring you a live report in just a few moments, but first, severe weather is moving into the area. Corey, can you quickly tell us who is affected by the severe weather?
Here we go again, Tracy. A severe thunderstorm warning out for western Ford County, which is the Dodge City area from Ensign to Dodge City. Also southern Gray County. We've had some reports of some large hail with this, torrential rains and lightning, of course. And this area on to the east is under a severe thunderstorm watch until 3 a.m. That's from about Dodge City to Hutchinson up into Phillips and Smith County. So, folks, we have the potential for more storms erupting over the next several hours. Tracy?
Okay, Corey, we'll check back in with you in just a few moments. We now go to Cy Bolton, who is standing by in South Wichita, where the rescue workers are searching for a possible drowning victim. Cy, what can you tell us?
Well, Tracy, we have a possible tragedy unfolding here at the Kingston Cove Apartments in South Wichita. It was about 8:30 this evening when a 24-year-old man got into the waters of the cove here and attempted to swim across. Now, he got about halfway across, at least family members tell me he got about halfway across, and they decided they were going to meet him at the other side of the cove. They got into a car, drove to the other side of the cove. He did not show up. They waited a little bit of time, called authorities. EMS crews, divers, other crews, fire crews have showed up here, and they've begun a search for the young man. The water here is about 15 to 20 feet deep. Now, I will say that authorities tell me they have discovered the man's ball cap in the water floating on the surface. They have made no discovery of his whereabouts. They're searching not only the waters of the lake, but also the surrounding areas of the cove to see whether perhaps he came out of the water and then passed out or something to that effect. They have not found any clues to indicate that the man is drowned yet, but they are not optimistic. We'll hope to have some more information for you later in the show. Back to you.
Thank you, Cy. We'll check back in with you as it warrants. A 32-year-old Newton man remains in critical condition tonight following an afternoon diving accident. The accident happened at Harvey County East Lake. The man, whose name is not being released pending notification of relatives, was rushed to Newton Medical Center in extremely critical condition. He was later transported to Wesley Medical Center. Details of how the accident happened are not yet being released by the Harvey County Sheriff's Department. Another Wichita man was killed after falling from a raft into the Yampa River in Colorado. 52-year-old Brian Flack was with a group of about 20 people on a rafting trip near Warm Spring Rapids in Dinosaur National Monument Park when the accident happened. The 4 other people on the raft pulled Flack into the boat but were unable to resuscitate him. Here in Wichita, a violent family argument turned deadly for a Wichita man this morning. 40-year-old Richard Jefferson died following a fight inside a house at 2241 North Belmont. Police say Jefferson died of multiple head injuries. An autopsy has been ordered to determine the exact nature of the wounds. Police arrested a 21-year-old man in the death. Police say the suspect is Jefferson's stepson, who was apparently distraught over an eye injury.
He's legally blind due to a gunshot that occurred over a year ago. I don't know the exact date at this time. He's been frustrated with that. There's indication that he was on drugs when this occurred.
Police say the suspect's mother, who was also inside the house at the time of the argument, was injured. Martha Jefferson received some broken ribs and is listed in fair condition at Wesley Regional Medical Center. The suspect was allegedly involved in another domestic dispute yesterday. The damage assessment of yesterday's strike is in, and all of the players involved in the mission are calling it a success. Saddam Hussein, on the other hand, is calling it a cowardly act of aggression. Regina Blakely updates us on the post-attack analysis.
According to the Pentagon, the United States attack on Iraq resulted in the near-complete destruction of Saddam Hussein's intelligence center. The objective of the strike was to destroy the building in which the Iraqi government made plans to assassinate former President George Bush during his visit to Kuwait this past April.
American criminals!
Iraq, in claiming at least 8 civilians were killed, is calling the attack completely unwarranted and unjustified. Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Colin Powell admitted 3 of the 23 missiles fired were off target, that reports indicate private homes were hit.
Those civilian injuries are nothing compared to what the Iraqis were planning to do in Kuwait with a car bomb that would have killed hundreds of Kuwaitis and perhaps killed the former president of the United States.
The Pentagon confirms that Iraq has moved air and ground forces, but that reports indicate those movements are defensive in nature. Vice President Al Gore, however, warned the Iraqi government any act of retaliation would be unwise.
The United States will respond. We will protect our people.
For the most part, U.S. allies are backing President Clinton's decision, some of the strongest support coming out of Russia. However, in the Arab world, reaction is mixed. Only Kuwait coming out publicly and backing the decision. Regina Blakely, CBS News, Washington.
Secretary of State Warren Christopher says the attack on Iraq sends a strong message to friend and foe alike that the U.S. isn't afraid to use military power to protect its vital interests. The U.S. military strike was the reason for this emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council. The U.S. ambassador to the UN presented evidence supporting the claim that Iraq directed its spy service to assassinate former President Bush. Madeleine Albright said this presentation was to merely explain the reasons behind the attack and not the seeking of an endorsement. Iraq's ambassador says the U.S. made up the plot in order to justify the strike. And what about former President Bush? He's sitting quietly at the center of the storm. Bush declined to talk about the U.S. attack on Iraq, saying he's out of the interview business. But he did release a statement saying he supports President Clinton's decision. Bush said Mr. Clinton called to tell him of the plan to attack Iraq. Mr. Bush also received a detailed briefing from Secretary of State Warren Christopher. Gays and lesbians marched through downtown districts across the country today in support of homosexual rights. Wichita was no different, with about 40 people marching in the 4th annual Freedom Day Parade. That number is down considerably from years past, and Cy Bolton filed this report earlier. He offers us several explanations in this report.
Fight, straight, gay, black, white, same struggle, same fight.
Most of these vocal gay rights advocates say parade attendance is down because homosexual persecution in Wichita is up. This alone keeps many Midwest gays in the closet.
I'd say the majority are buried. You know, I mean, I was up till just a few years ago, and most of my friends are still because of job reasons, you know, because of their family, and just because of persecution from other people.
No, they don't feel comfortable. They feel like they can lose their job or people would frown at them.
One of the city's largest predominantly gay organizations, the First Metropolitan Community Church, failed to endorse this march after problems encountered during last year's.
Last year there was a small problem with skinheads where there was a lot of yelling, which increased the amount of fear in our community to a degree.
That's why some want to be highly visible this year.
It's important because it shows the community that we belong. We have a place in this city. We're the dentist, and we're the baker, and we're the banker, and we're the cab driver, and we're the teacher, and we're, you know, your next door neighbor.
It's important to note that not everyone here is homosexual. There are those who are simply sympathetic to and supportive of the issues facing the gay community in Wichita.
I guess I'm just really open-minded. I mean, I have been all my life, and, you know, I support the gay and lesbian community, even though I myself am straight.
What do we want? Equal rights!
The march concluded with a small rally at Heritage Park, a minister speaking of Christ's love for all mankind. Cy Bolton, Eyewitness News, Wichita.
First Metropolitan is expected to actively participate in next year's march. News of a wedding march to tell you about, but you'll have to wait until after a break to find out who the famous couple is. And it's not the sparks of passion bringing folks out to the country, but it's what they're buying that can be considered too hot to handle. Stay tuned.
Ford Man is absolutely unbeatable for the rest of June. Here's why. Drive a 93 Escort four-door sedan for $0 down and $199 a month for 24 months. Loaded with air, AM/FM stereo, electric mirrors, rear window defroster, and more features too numerous to mention. On this 93 Escort, yours for $0 down and $199 a month for 24 months. Ford Man is absolutely unbeatable for the rest of June. Hurry, only 32 Escorts to choose from at Rusty Eck Ford. Absolutely unbeatable.
After 22 hours and more than $300,000 in contributions to local children's health care, we believe in miracles.
We're